Won't I admit that regardless of who goes through, that Real Madrid are still the bigger club?
Absolutely not. You must be joking. Must be joking. No way. I respect Real Madrid and everything.
Who is the biggest club?
We're up there with you. I'll put it that way. You're not bigger than us. You ain't at all. Nobody, in fact, nobody in the world is bigger than us. That's what I say, and I'm not changing it.
This is serious. You are speaking serious.
You're serious. You're talking about serious. You're talking about serious now.
No.
You're talking about serious.
Is history.
History, okay.
15.
Oh, here we go.
We ain't going nowhere near Germany. Nowhere near Germany, bro. This piece of shit, bruv. Look at this dickhead.
Where was Martin? No show the God. Firewood made of it in my. Unlucky boo cry Osaka. Who lost? Who lost? It was Asana, eh? Who lost? Who lost? It was Asana, eh? Trooper! My friend!
Hey.
Buddy?
Hello?
Hello? Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It's X and KG, man.
Troops, X and KG here. I know you got both our numbers. Don't make us do a three-way call. Hold on, wait a minute. Troops, just checking in on you, mate. What's the score? What's the score, mate? Hello?
Pouring Henny.
Oh!
This is my life. This is my life, blood.
Good morning. I am with you-know-who, Barry the boy, although she's not a boy. And she's got a message for all you Arsenal fans.
There's always next year. Trust the process.
Trust the process. There's always next year.
Brilliant.
And by the way,
that still person stood behind was Dave, and he's from Manchester, from Whitefield, a season ticket holder at City. He's over here visiting me for a month.
oh, is he just behind you naked again?
Well, no, not naked, but he's got his top off. But he's a good lad, and he's a massive City fan. He's over here for a month, but he's having a good break. And we're too busy laughing at Arsenal this morning. It was hilarious.
Well, this is the thing. I didn't want to be shameless. This channel is a City channel, and predominantly we're going to talk about Manchester City always. However, the amount of shit that and Steve, you in particular, mate, the amount of shit you have had to take on Big Six, right?
Yep.
I think that, the amount of shows we have been on, the amount of times, even randomly, like today, there's an example. There's one in here a minute ago, not too long ago, an Arsenal fan in here talking about 115. The amount of times we've been told to stay fucking humble, right? They deserve every single bit of this, don't they, Steve?
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, it started the first game we played them this season, the 2-2. And then they all had the Rodri screensavers when Rodri was injured, crying. They all had the screensavers. They were all sending me pictures of the screensavers at work, Rodri and that. So I thought, yeah, bad karma's coming for you. You don't be mocking people that are injured. And then they beat City 5-1. We had to endure all that nonsense about, our time has come now. Man City are finished. You're not the same team. Arsenal are going to dominate the league, etc., etc. And don't forget, they told us for many years that when Man City drop off, then they're going to win the league because they're in phase 5, phase 6, phase 7 of whatever process they're in. And it didn't happen that way. Liverpool strolled in with no signings and won the league. They've got a mentality problem over there, a big one. The players think they're better than what they are. That Arteta thinks he's better than what he is. And the whole fan base, it's fake confidence. It's like they can't help but scream and shout from the rooftops when something goes good. And when something goes bad, they all run away and hide like rats. And today,
last night on Never a Foul, we kept writing, where are the Arsenal? There was no Arsenal fans in the comments. None. None.
Oh, it's
not
gone.
one.
And look, the season, they've not won a trophy again. Do you know what I mean? And it's all the gas and everything that comes with it. And they talk like, you've heard Ty talking. Ty's just Ty, but you heard the rest of them talk like this, that, and the other. I did that show in London where I had to go to Shoreditch, and I told them Manchester City are a bigger club than Arsenal, and their fucking heads fell off. But we are now. That's it. Unfortunately, we are. You know what I mean? Everything we're doing is our history. Our history is better than their history. You know what I mean? They've never retained a title. You know what I mean? They've never won the European Cup. How can you be a big boy club in world football if you've not won the European Cup? We've won the treble. We've won 4 in a row. We've done formidables, Centurions. We've got. We
don't
our
even
resume.
speak about domestic treble, by the way. We don't even speak about that. And that's another example. Domestic treble. When we won that, we were told by our Arsenal fans, well, it's not a real treble. Well, you haven't done the fucking domestic treble. So how can you tell us about our treble when you haven't done a treble? And this season, we've got to say on this stay humble thing. Do they know what
we beat Real Madrid. We beat Real Madrid.
That's it, innit? You know, I said on the Big Six, right? I said, listen, you know, you well done what you've done to Real Madrid. You know, not many people do that. You've had your day out and night out in the Bernabeu. You'll remember it for a long time. But you've got to go and win it now. And they went, we haven't. I went, no, you have. I went, because it means nothing. I said, because if you don't win it, it means nothing. I said, Man City have beat Barcelona, Bayern Munich along the way and won nothing, you know, but you've got to fucking win it. No, we don't have to win it. You're putting pressure on the team as if Mikel Arteta's fucking turns it off because he hears Big Steve talking about it like I'm putting pressure on him. This is how deluded they are. The fact is, they've won a couple of good games this season. They beat Man City 5-1. You beat Real Madrid 5-1. You've won fuck all, and you better hope you cling on to second, because if Man City snatch second in the 2-horse race, it's fucking embarrassing. And I think Lego Head, it's time it'll be up and it'll be gone.
Do you know what I think as well? Right, with the whole, I said this I think to Lee earlier. Shout out to Lee, Steve. I went to bed. So Lee started his watch along at 7:30 last night. Right. Obviously,
Still
did the
going
watch,
in there,
mate. I woke up this morning. I woke 5 in, came downstairs to watch some Homeland and get the show ready for today, and saw he was live. I was on there for an hour, thinking he's still going. He's
still going, mate. He's still going. Fair play.
14 hours straight.
I said to him, the thing is, the story's great about, you know, the season you beat City 5-1, the season that you beat Real Madrid, but a story always needs to have a great ending. And, you know, if that was someone telling me the story, it would have me on the edge of my seat. Yeah, all right, so you beat Real Madrid home and away in the quarterfinals of the fucking Champions League, thinking, all right, well, there's a lot more to come from this. Next minute, you're hearing, oh no, we got beat home and away by PSG and went out. And then it's like, right, so now what? And the truth is, we don't really celebrate the Charity Shield, right? They had their team photo with the Charity Shield in it. Well, by their standards, in 3 months' time, our team photo could be with a Charity Shield, a fucking FA Cup, and a Club World Cup in a season that they told us to stay humble. And I just want to know, do they get what Erling Haaland meant now?
I think so.
I don't think they do, mate. I think they'll still say no, because they'll say, no, well, we saw 115 is the biggest humbler. I still don't think they get it. Pat, watch the game?
Yeah, I went and watched a replay this morning and that. But I got to say, maybe possibly because of the classic that we saw 24 hours prior, it did get a sense that once, you know, Arsenal weren't able to sort of, you know, get the scoring open early, there was a little bit of a sense of an anticlimax with them in a way. And I know PSG, I think at the end of the day, were a bit too strong, but it just didn't seem like they didn't want to take any sort of major risks and try and at least have a go, try and make something of it. And to be honest, the goal they scored was kind of a bit fortunate, because there was, you know, a bit of a deflection that sort of favoured or basically ended up in Saka's lap, and, you know, he tucks the ball away. But I don't know. I'm not trying to maybe downplay what both teams did in that game, but I just feel like that was going to be one hell of a sequel to try and back up what happened at the San Siro yesterday. You know, I think it was always going to be a tough one. But fair play to PSG. I think they just absolutely they sucked the life out of Arsenal for the 180 minutes on the pitch. I think they did. There were times there where it sort of reminded me of what we did in the treble season, where we sort of barely gave a lot of teams even just a chance, even a whiff of the oily rag, basically. Fair play to them, and if they're going to come into that cup final as favourites, then I think to be honest, it's thoroughly deserved. And if you look at what they've had to do to get there, thoroughly deserved.
Yeah. Do you know what I was going to say? I don't know if maybe what happened between Inter and Barcelona helped to keep Arsenal's faith that little bit longer, because it meant they thought, well, we saw it the night before, we saw things kind of get switched around. But I've got to say, I think Steve and I don't know about you guys, but we've sung Arteta's praises over the years, right, Steve? Yeah. Less so now, but initially we were the ones telling Arsenal fans, be a bit more patient with him, and he has turned it round. But I think last night, I've got to look at him, because the fact that they were going to, from minute one, throw-ins, lumping the ball long, that was all Arteta, right? That was all his decision to try and beat Paris by playing football like that. That was his decision, and it failed, massively failed. Odegaard as well, by the way, he's got to be dropped as captain, isn't he?
I mean, he's just not turned up. He's had a lot of injuries this season, but the last couple of games, he's not turned up. But my argument was they threw Odegaard under the bus after the first leg. Yeah, they'd only lost 1-0 against Paris Saint-Germain at home, and they cut the meltdown after the game from all the channels was like they'd lost it already. So all this chess going into the game about Real Madrid, it was soon ended when they went 1-0 down to Paris. And then, like you say, they'd almost beaten before they've got to Paris, because the way they were talking, Odegaard this, get him out this, we've not signed a player this, that and the other. I'm thinking, you've not even given your boys a chance here in the second leg. You're already basically making excuses for why. But, they're going to want Declan Rice as captain, maybe. He should get
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
I think, yeah.
I mean, I think there's like you say, there's a lot of problems there. Looking at from the outside in, the team actually is not a million miles away from winning something. It looks like with a couple of tweaks, they can get there. But it's all right doing that, but they seem to just near the end of every run, when the pressure cranks up a notch, they seem to wobble. And like you say, it's pressure. I mean, Bournemouth done them at weekend. You know what I mean? They've had some crazy results, and I'm just kicking myself as a City fan that City are nowhere near the title race, because the running we've had near the end, if we were on even 70% of last season's team, we'd have won that league.
Well, do you know what? I said this to Lee earlier on, that if you go back to the season we won the Champions League, Steve, right? And from the minute, I would say the turning point, I remember being away in Leipzig with you when it was 1-1, and we stayed after the game. We were saying that performance wasn't good enough. Like, we want to try and win this tournament. We want to try and win the league. From that point, right, the next game we beat, I can't remember the game in between the two Leipzig legs, but Leipzig at home, I believe we won 7-0, right? That was when Erling got 5 goals, right? Mm. Then from that point, we were just a steamroller, rolling over everyone, right? And carrying the momentum on. And that, not just that season, but every season, the minute we start, we just carry the momentum on. Whereas with Arsenal, winning against Madrid, home and away, right? That should have been the start of something special, right? They should have carried on that momentum. If you look at their performances since then, what has happened in that dressing room for their whole mentality to fucking go? Because ultimately, since those 2 Madrid games, they've done fuck all. Yeah. Now, if that was us, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if we would have took the energy from that and somehow turned it around in the fucking league as well. But it just seems like their whole arse has gone from beating the one team. And I hate to say it, but is that on the fan base a bit? Because the fan base honestly thought, we've done it. We've done it. And just gave up. Thought they were already there, because it's just the way they've turned everything around is insane. And now we look at the game at the weekend. They've got to go to Anfield, where they're given a guard of honour.
Yeah, Daps, I think the biggest problem for them is, and it seems to be something that you could probably almost go back to even maybe say a season before the treble season, was I think they have this big problem, and the issue that I see is, and I'm trying to look at this from almost a neutral perspective, or even if I was in their shoes as like an Arsenal fan, it was like, what I don't understand is how they'll talk about the record of the top 6 over the last couple of seasons, and that's something good. Don't get me wrong, that's that's important. Can keep opposition teams at bay and all that sort of stuff and things like that. But when you talk about 5 or 6 teams, it's only a third of the league. And then if you're going to prioritize so much on your record on the top 6, but then sort of almost playing a way where you kind of look down on other teams like West Ham, for example, Fulham, who, by the way, have had good records against Arsenal in recent years.
Yeah.
Those sort of clubs are the sort of ones that will catch you off guard. And then, of course, you got sections of the fan base who will try and find every excuse under the sun sort of thing too. But what I'm getting to is the biggest problem that I have with the way they sort of go about, performing every year, is particularly in leagues, is they're so worried about winning the small battles or winning the battles that they are completely oblivious that there's a fucking war going on. They just worry so much about, like, we cannot drop points against this team. But then at the same time, they focus all their energy and resources. And then the next couple of games, they'll probably drop points against lesser opposition. Yeah. And it's just, it would be one of those things where if City were to do the same thing as well, I would be so frustrated by that. Be like, okay, it might be good never losing a derby or something like that. But then if I find out that, like, we consistently draw again, dropping points against teams like West Ham, for example, or even the relegation teams, you're not getting all your points off those sort of the bottom half and things like that. That would make things very, very frustrating for me.
Yeah. Do you know what I actually heard someone say yesterday, an Arsenal fan say on TalkSport yesterday? He said, if you would have offered an Arsenal fan an FA Cup a Champions League semi-final after beating Madrid over 2 legs, and to be 3 points above Manchester City at the start of the season, they would have snapped your hands off. And I thought, exactly what you just said there. They're too bothered about battles and not actually focusing on the war. That saying you're 3 points above Manchester City in this season, where Manchester City went something like 15 games without a win, right?
Yeah.
You're not seeing the bigger picture. And if that's your fallback, is to say, well, we finished above Manchester City, you're absolutely fucking doomed, right?
Yeah.
Like,
because then they'd say, like, but you said 3 points above City, so I didn't say what league position they'd be in.
Exactly. Do you know what?
That initial assumption,
One of our 4, Pete, right, was over a Man United team that shouldn't have been there, right? We never knew it was going to be Man United that were in the fucking title race with us. You just deal with whoever is in the title race. You don't revert back to, well, Man City have been the best, so as long as we're above them, or you're fucking doomed. Yeah. But that is their mentality.
Well, can I just say something? They're not.
Don't mention Nunes.
No, they've not solved a problem that they've had for 6 or 7 years for me. And that's having a decent striker or a striker that scores goals in pressure moments. Okay. They've had people like Jose who run and chase things down. And they've not had an out-and-out number 9 who scores goals for fun. And when your pressure's on, you need big players like that to get you out of trouble when you need it. City have had it under Sergio and now Haaland, but they have never had a decent striker and refused to pay for one. And Arteta's been left.
Under Arteta, you mean under Arteta, right?
Under Arteta, he's having to mess around and try and manufacture goals from other areas, because Arsenal board refused to pay top dollar for decent strikers. Now, I'm not saying get one for 150 million, because that's ridiculous, but there are people out there that can do a job and score goals. Let's face it, Sergio Aguero was on the bench, a reserve and a reserve type player at Atletico Madrid. We found him.
It wasn't quite that well. Fucking hell, on the bench and a reserve player. Fucking hell.
Well, he was. He was on the bench for him, and we got him, and he was superb.
He was on the bench after a period.
Haaland's a top draw striker, but we still paid 51 million for him.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. But again, that's down to the manager. The manager didn't want to go and buy a striker. The manager wanted to, and I mean, you look at him yesterday. Declan Rice, I actually do have to say, I think Declan Rice put in a good performance yesterday again. Declan Rice looks like someone that fucking cares.
It does.
Saka.
Declan Rice was the missing piece of the jigsaw, remember?
Yeah.
We've got Rice,
true.
we can compete with anyone. But then now they're missing another piece of the jigsaw. So every time they get another piece of the jigsaw, another piece of the jigsaw falls off. So,
Good
you know,
point.
you've got to go on the manager, because they left it late in the window. They bid for Watkins. They knew they was never getting Watkins. They did it so the fan base thought, well, at least we tried. It's their own fault. You know, why sign Calafiore? You know, why sign him? Did they need Calafiore? I don't think they did. You know what I mean? But they signed him. So they're wasting money in positions they don't really need. They're letting fringe players go, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah and all that. I know they wasn't good enough, but when this injury crisis come around, players like that could, you know, chip in. At the minute, that Marino, if it wasn't for him, to be fair, he had to play up front and he got him a few goals. But there's always an excuse. And let's just put it this way. Remember when they said we'd have won the league if Saka was fit? Well, they've won 3 in 12 with Saka back.
Yeah, facts.
So that's a load of fucking nonsense. So at the end of the day, you know, there's always an excuse. You know what I mean? There's always an excuse. Yep. I feel like now the manager is in a serious position where the board are going to have a chat about it, because on one hand you're thinking, maybe give him one more window and he might get it right. But they've done that for the last 3 or 4 windows. Or do they think, right, well, we know we've got a good squad, but we need a better manager to take us over the line. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think, you know, Arteta, what he's done, he turned the club around. You've got to thank him for that. City did it with Mancini. He turned the club around. He turned the mentality around, and we sacked him. And everyone went fucking mad. But look at the decision now. Look how good that sacking was now. They brought Pellegrini in as a stopgap, equaled what Mancini did. And then they went, right, Pep's the man now. And we went forward. If we wouldn't have moved forward, if we'd all got attached to Mancini, we might have been fucking bumbling around the top 4.
We were all angry. We were all angry at Mancini. I remember being at that roundabout at Wembley for the Wigan game, and everyone knew he was going, and I was furious. I was furious. Yeah,
everyone was. But Arsenal, if they want to mix it with the big boys and be serious, you know, City came close. Then they went out and got Erling Haaland, and we won the fucking treble. We knew what we needed to do. We got him in. We kept it sweet. We bid for Harry Kane the season before. Do you know what I mean? But we went for Haaland. These boys now, there's a distinctive lack of great strikers around Europe. You know, you look round, you can probably count on one hand how many who was elite. And it's going to be so tough for them. But I don't know where to go from here now. And I'm sick of the excuses. I'd rather them just come out and go, you know what, we weren't good enough. We've not been for the last few years. It needs addressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they're so desperate for a striker that any player would do at the moment.
Exactly.
You know, I think they mentioned after the 2-2 against Palace and that they said even someone like Mateta, Jean-Philippe Mateta would be good in that squad.
This is what I mean. It's desperation. You know, it's all right looking at players at Palace who are doing well for Palace. It's Crystal Palace, no disrespect. You jump from Crystal Palace to Arsenal with that amount of pressure and shit you're going to get off the fans. If Mateta has 5 bad games for Palace, nobody says anything. If Mateta has 2 bad games for Arsenal, they want him out of the club. Yeah, that's the level of pressure. So you've got to have an elite striker with an elite mentality, and it's all got to gel. The fans have got to be on side with it. You know, the City fans, you can slag City fans all they want, but we're a fucking good bunch of fans when it comes to backing the players. It's very, very rare you see us pile on a player where we're all fucking screaming outside the ground. We trust the manager. We get him, but we back the team. And they say, oh, you lot, you never do this, and you're all happy clappers and all that. It's not about that. It's about protecting your team and your players and keeping the harmony in the squad and around the stadium. The last thing you need is like what they do. Soon as they went 1-0 down against PSG in the first leg, that stadium went...
Yeah, mate, it was mental.
Gone.
Absolutely insane.
Because they don't believe in themselves. City went 2-0 down against Aston Villa in the final league game of the season to win the fucking league. And the place was fucking rattling from the roof to the floor with everyone getting behind the team. And we got behind the team, we won it. We were 2-1 down to Sergio Aguero, QPR, to win the league. And we could have sat there and felt sorry for ourselves. We got behind the boys. You never heard noise like it. And that's the difference. We've seen what getting behind the lads in the final minutes can achieve. They don't. They just throw the towel in. Bournemouth, last game, there must be fucking 60,000 empty seats at the end, 50,000 empty seats gone. They'd all gone home early, didn't believe in it.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Where I am with Arteta, people, nearly 350 in here, likes are only on about 130. So please,
Hit the
if you
likes.
could just have a quick look at your like button. If it's not lit, give it a quick tap and push it up. Where I am, right. Do I think Arteta should go right now?
No.
Right, maybe not. However, I do think that they're a very, very, very difficult situation right now, right? Because Arteta went into that club, and I totally do think he's changed the mentality. He's changed the club, right? Because before we got in there, they weren't competing for anything, right? They weren't competing for anything whatsoever. He's gone in there. He's changed the mentality. He's made them believe more, right? However, right now, I wonder if he's at a point where they're not winning anything this season now, right? If they were to keep him for one more season and they go one more season without winning anything, ultimately, this whole trust me, trust the process. And it's not just a buzzword. I know he doesn't say it that much, but we saw his interviews and it's something that Pep does at City. You must all be on the same page. You must all sing from the same hymn sheet. You must trust what he's teaching you and believe that it will work. Is it not now that if people keep trusting someone and it isn't working, their mentality changes? And all of this great work he's done is just going to start going down the other way because ultimately, and I think yesterday after the game, he came out and said the best team in the Champions League have just been knocked out, right? Now, is he not starting to breed a fucking excuse mentality? Because I think he is. And I think keeping him on any longer could start to really impact the players. Saliba will be off. Saliba will be gone soon.
So some of the things you say were totally correct. But I think Arteta has gone in there, turned them around. You're quite right. He has turned them around, made them more competitive at the top of the table, which he has, right? Which Arsenal didn't have before he arrived. I think if you're just going to get rid of him just like that because I've not won a trophy, who are they going to get? They're in the Champions League next season, pretty much sure. So they need a manager that's got experience in the Champions League that potentially can take them a long way, if not win it, right? So who are they going to get that's better?
Right, okay. So prime example with that is I do hear what you're saying. I don't know the answer. It's not my job to know the answer. But if we look at Slot, we look at Pellegrini. Two examples straight away. Came into the Premier League, had not won a league. I don't know if Slot won a league before.
Yeah,
didn't he win one with Feyenoord last season?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But not a top league. Right. They both walked in and won the league in the first season. Right. Yeah. So I do hear what you're saying. And that's where I don't know if they should get rid of him or not. But I do think the longer they keep him, the more there is a chance that they're starting to breed this mentality of excuses. And him coming out and saying, we're the best team. Is that what he's going to be telling the players? Don't worry, guys. Fucking, already. Oh, and what I've already heard today is if it wasn't for the keeper, then Arsenal would have gone through. It's because Donnarumma had such a great performance. But that is football, right? You can't use, if they didn't have X or if they didn't have Y, right?
Just creating all these false hypotheticals,
Yeah, it's like, but they do have the keeper and you don't have the striker. So there's no point in saying any of that. Go and get the fucking striker. You decided to play midfielder up top. If you played a forward up top, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So I don't know. I just think it's a real interesting time for Arsenal. Now, I think the fact they brought in a different director of football will probably change things a little bit. But man. Well, let's start to move this over to City in our club. You two, I don't know, Steve's what's happened. Steve might be back, might be not. I know he's at work, so he might have to go and do some bits. Appreciate him dropping in. Yeah, has to shoot, so that's fine. Right. Do you two think we get do you think we end up finishing second, third, fourth, fifth?
I think second is definitely on the cards now.
You do?
Yep.
Alan?
I just don't think Liverpool will lie down for them this weekend, and I think Newcastle, besides just trying to get the Champions League spots or try and finish as high up the table as possible, they'll be going for the quad against Arsenal as well this season. Something that I don't think many teams have done in history, to be honest. So that's going to be interesting to see. I think, and to be honest, even if that's not what they're playing for, I just think Newcastle seem to have Arsenal's number at the moment.
Well, yeah, apparently, am I right? Arsenal haven't scored against them in recent weeks as well. I mean, in recent time as well. So, Alan, what about you? Do you think we end up right? So let's look at this. We're 3 points behind them this weekend. I would expect us to get 3 points. Let's imagine Arsenal lose against Liverpool, right? That will put us equal on points, but our goal difference is not superior to theirs, so we would still say third. Newcastle, if they would have won last week, could have gone above Arsenal. They didn't win, so I don't believe they will go above them. Then the week after, we have the FA Cup. Mm-hmm. They have Newcastle, right? So I guess we're not going to... City can't go second until we play Bournemouth at the earliest. I believe that is correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that for us to go second, we would have to draw or beat Bournemouth and Arsenal lose their next 2 games.
We'll look at it this way, Dabs. They could even have 2 draws: draw against Liverpool, draw against Newcastle.
And we still go above them. Yeah, by 1 point. Yeah, we would go. If we win both our games, we would go ahead of them.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you. I don't think we will pick up second. I don't think we will. But it could happen, right? It could happen.
I'll be honest with you, Dabs. I don't think we will catch second. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
but I don't think we'll do it.
Yeah.
I think we need to win 2 out of the 3 games we've got left in the league to make sure we get top 4.
You now don't think we need to win all 3?
As someone that played sport, I want to win every game. So we should play to win every game.
Yeah, right? Of course.
And the way we're playing right now,
yeah,
we should be doing all 3, right? And as well as the FA Cup, we've got some momentum to play to win. And I think if you go in there in any game and risk losing, that's the mentality you don't want.
Yeah.
This way, if we go and lose against Southampton, then it becomes squeaky bum time, doesn't it? I do not want to go to
100%. Yeah, if we lose Southampton, that can change our whole form.
The only thing, though, Alan, just quickly, was Chelsea do play Newcastle this weekend too. So there is a possibility that one, if not both of those teams, are going to have a drop off as well.
Yeah. Well, what I will say to you is that it's so close between. If we lose for argument's sake and the other teams win, we could end up in 7th. It's that close.
What, if we lose all 3, you're saying?
Well, we could, if you think about it. If all the other teams are only a point or maximum 2 away from us, okay?
Do you think we lose all 3, Alan?
No.
Right.
That's why I think we need to win all 3 games.
I feel like, do you know what? I feel like we don't need to win all 3 to get top 4 football. I feel like I want to win all 3 just to end the season on a high, because I think what that'll do to our confidence. And look, our confidence is slowly coming back, but where our confidence was going into this season and where our confidence is leaving this season are 2 different worlds. And I think for me, it's all about just getting that confidence back. Are either of you 2 worried about Southampton at the weekend, by the way?
Well, the thing with Southampton is that because they're already down, the pressure's off. They can just go out and play football, right?
Yeah.
They're already down. Which in that way, you don't want to be taking risks. And we definitely want to score some goals. So I'd like to get 2-0 up in the first 20 minutes and could completely control them and dominate them. Let's try and score as many goals as we can. But if it's like 0-0 after 70 minutes, anything can happen.
Do you know, from what I've seen of Southampton this season, Southampton often start games okay. right?
Yeah, they
But
do.
they're not clinical enough. It's a bit like watching, well, I hate to say it, a lot of teams that come up to the Premier League where they play okay football, but the minute it gets to the final third, you can see they just I'm with you, the big mini, that we have to look at it, and they're on the number of points they're on for one reason and one reason only, that they're really fucking shit.
Again, and as I said before, they will want to at least get one more point in these last 3 games because of that record.
Yeah.
They don't want to be on the wrong side of history.
Well, let it be Arsenal.
yeah, true. But look, I just think with Southampton, I think the key for us is that I think if we were to score in the first, say, 20 minutes, half an hour, I think it's pretty much game over. We'll have all the momentum, and that will just carry on all the way through till 90 minutes, regardless of how many goals we score.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. 187 likes, over 350 people in here. Let's get those likes over 200 people. Check the like button. Is it lit? If it isn't, just give it a tap.
Press the thumb up like that. The thumb
looks like this.
You don't know where the like button is.
Simple as that, and it will go up. Really appreciate all the likes, though. But let's get that up. The likes are the bread and butter. They help to push the channel out to more people. Then more people watch the channel, etc., etc. I'm just on City Extra's Twitter. Everyone's saying any news on Verts, any news on anything else. To be honest with you, I just had a quick scan. The whole world of Twitter, not just us, by the way. So people saying, "Oh, why is the City channel talking about Arsenal?" Listen, as Arsenal fans, you can't talk about us all fucking season, and then when you hit a calamity, that we can't talk on you. Erling Haaland gave your manager a friendly bit of advice, right? A friendly bit of advice. Yes, great performance, 1-1 draw against City. Stay humble though, because it's only October, right? We're now in May, and Manchester City are still in a race for a finishing position with yourselves. Manchester City are still in the FA Cup. Manchester City will be competing in the Club World Cup, right? Erling Haaland has won a treble, has won a four-peat, has come into the Premier League and set records. So for him to tell your manager that's done fuck all, listen, chill out, don't get too excited, stay humble. Does it make sense to you now? Because it makes fucking perfect sense to me. And I think it's made perfect sense to our whole fan base all season. So I hope you get it now. Just a couple of things I see on City Extra. Just having a quick look at that. I'll share the screen. Where are we? So there's not much on transfers, but it does so. Vardiol, I think that's Ruben Diaz on Vardiol. No, that's Vardiol said, "It wasn't hard to get back to my natural position at centre-back. I've been playing for a long time and it's just inside of me and kind of natural. The relationship between me and Ruben Diaz, I think, is really good, as you see by the way we work on the pitch." And then Ruben Diaz has said, "I believe everyone knows how good Josko Vardiol can be and how good he is already. And when you have a level of quality and are able to mix it with good communication, responsibility, and ambition, things can work." I like that they're doing this. I do like that they're doing this. I can't lie. I need this Vardiol Ruben Diaz partnership to blossom even more and for a lot longer than the John Stones Ruben Diaz partnership did. So I'm here for it.
That's your 1 and 2 for the next few years, I think.
I think so. I know there's some people that would probably
to lose.
Yeah. I know there's some people that probably push for the Kuzanov to get a chance, but I think we've got to give Ruben. I know Ruben hasn't been Ruben's best over the last couple of years, but
the thing is with Ruben, he's our organizer, mate.
Yeah, facts, big facts.
He's
big
the
facts.
only one that's going to go at centre half and tell people where to go.
Do you think with Ruben the people talk about his performances over the last few years about being poor? Do you think the problem is that the benchmark has been set so high considering what he did in his first season?
Yeah, I do.
They're expecting a repeat of that every season. If they don't do it, you've had a shit season, which is not fair.
Yeah.
What he's done is he's basically come in and done the sort of thing that like a new signing does if they hit the Premier League by storm. You know, unknown commodity. They come in, hit the ground running, tear the league apart, have a great season, win all the accolades, whatever. Then the question then becomes is, okay, can you back it up in future years? Because obviously teams are going to target you now. They know how you play. Are you going to be able to adapt your game? Ruben Diaz, I think at the end of the day, was so good in that squad that the standard was already set so high, and he probably has those standards himself too. Absolutely no question. He's such he dedicates himself to his craft so well. But yeah, I just think that if he doesn't repeat what he did in that 2021 season, then everybody's going to start coming after him saying, "Oh, you're not good," and all this sort of stuff, and it's completely unjustified.
He came in and he changed our whole defense, right? He came in, and I will always say this: he didn't win. He didn't get in the Premier League team of the season. He didn't win the Manchester City Player of the Season. He won the Premier League Player of the Season, right? You don't fucking win that in your first season.
Yeah.
You don't win that as a centre-back too often, right? Let alone in your first fucking season. He was that good. Danny Moore says, I think Pep will bring Akanji in for O'Reilly for the next 2 games. Vardy back at left back. Do you know what? I can't lie. I don't think he will. I think the fact that I think Pep knows that Diaz Vardy partnership, it's too good. And by the way, I'm not saying that it's, already outperforming Saliba, Gabriel, outperforming Konate, Prime, Van Dijk, right? But you look at our run of results, you look at the amount of goals we're conceding over recent weeks. If Pep does that, I've got to look at him sideways and say, Pep, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Like, O'Reilly didn't have the best of games against Wolves, but apart from that, he's been solid, right? You can't see a player have one bad half and go, fuck it, we've got to change everything, especially when before that we were leaking goals.
That's going to happen with young players, right? They're going to come in and out, and then the form's going to go in and out. That's what happens with young players. We have to accept with young players that's what happens. So we've got the backup to help and get through games when he has halves like he did. Wolves are a decent outfit. They've won 6 or 7 players, their teams on the bounce. At the end of the day, he can't play well every single game. He's a young kid.
Yeah. Fraser saying, Daps, why can't Pep train Kuzanov to be a right back? Consider we've been missing one and they cost 50 to 60 million. I've been saying this from the start. I think Kuzanov does have the qualities to play as a right back. His pace, his strength, his ability on the ball as well. I heard someone speaking about his ability on the ball the other day, saying kind of maybe downplaying it a little bit. I think his ability on the ball's really big. And I wouldn't rule out that this isn't something that Pep's doing at the moment. Everyone's saying, why aren't we seeing Kuzanov at the moment? Well, that could be the reason that Pep is actually kind of thinking, do you know what, Kuzanov could be a right back, but he's not, it took Núñez quite a while to kind of perform at the level he's in. So it could be that he's doing that as we talk. I hope he is doing that because I want there to be a place in this starting 11 for Kuzanov.
He's way too young, and it's way too early in his City career for Pep to sort of mold him into that. If it's going to happen, you may see it happen in the second half of next season or something like that. As Pep evolves the squad and evolves the formation and things like that. Not discrediting him, raw talent looks like an amazing signing, something for the future and that too. But at the end of the day, Diaz and Gvardiol are number 1 and number 2, and he has to fight to get into that position. But saying that too, while we're talking about Kuzanov, we might as well also talk about Vitor Hayes, but small sample size. But when he's done, he's been fantastic. Yeah,
well, and when we look at this, Marius, I hear what you're saying, but say Kuzanov is not a right back and doesn't have the technical ability. Stop this nonsense. I'm not being funny, bro, but he's at the one club that it isn't nonsense if we do this, right? Vardiol was not a left back, right? He was a centre back. He played a season and a half on the left, right? Zinchenko was an attacking midfielder, left back. Delph, central midfielder, left back. Núñez was playing left wing at the start of this season. Next minute, he's playing right back. So this is the one club that us saying Pep might adapt a player to fit elsewhere. It really could happen. Like, it really, really could. Furthermore, as well, the way that we play, Kuzanov could start, his starting position could be right back, right? But with Nico O'Reilly playing on the left, who is not predominantly going to be playing like a left back, that could quite easily be, he moves into the midfield and the back 4 become a back 3, right? So Kuzanov ultimately would be playing right centre back, not right back. He'd be playing right centre back of a back three. So I do think there is the potential. And say he doesn't have the technical ability. Does Nunes have the technical ability to play right back? If someone would have said to you at the start of this season, so I don't know. I'm not saying, for me, I like Kuzanov as a centre back, but I don't think he's going to get in over Vardy or Diaz anytime soon in that position, and I want to see him. So, what else has been going on? I'm just trying to think of anything else.
I saw this nonsense about KDB going.
Oh, to Liverpool.
Yeah, and I also saw a picture of him talking about having talks to City for another year. There's all sorts of nonsense going around in the press.
Yeah, it's click for me.
Yeah.
I could be proven wrong, but I can't imagine a world where Liverpool go and give KDB knows his legacy at this club. He knows his legacy at Manchester City, and he knows his legacy within the Manchester City fan base. Yeah. I can't imagine. KDB is not going to go, do you know what? Yeah, fuck it. I want to stay in the Premier League that much. I'll go and join one of Manchester City's rivals, and I'll drop my wage to 150 grand a week, right? Not going to do that, yeah? Especially when there's other clubs abroad that are willing to pay him a lot of money. I can't see a world where Liverpool, who we know, yeah, have to do a lot of rebuilding themselves this summer, go and give Kevin De Bruyne 350 or 400 grand a week. I just can't imagine it. Really can't.
I've heard the MLS are front runners at the moment.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Chicago.
I've heard Chicago.
It just seems like Chicago seem to be catching most of the news outlets at the moment.
And good luck to him if he does. Good luck to him. Goes to America.
He likes America, doesn't he? I heard that he's always has liked America. His family like America. I just can't see that. Look, the only thing with Liverpool is, yes, he's happy in the northwest. He'd get to probably live in the same house, right? His kids wouldn't be unsettled. His wife wouldn't be unsettled. But apart from that, I just can't see it. Really can't see it. I think
it's only going to be for another year, or at the end of the day, if he doesn't go to America, he's mad. I think to finish your career, go and play in America, earn some big bucks and lots of endorsements. I'm
really surprised New York City haven't pursued him more.
Same.
I really am.
Yeah.
But there might be a reason behind that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also too, because I've got a few friends who are big NYC fans who live over there too. Is that they've heard a lot from the club saying in recent years, since Pirlo left, since Lampard left, they really want to try and get away from the whole marquee signing thing that they did, the first, say, 4 or 5 years of their existence. Excuse me. So I wonder if that may be a reason why they don't do it. But I still think from a publicity side, to promote the club in that too, I think with that new Etihad Park that they're moving into in Queens, they're going to have their own stadium in New York State, by the way, too. What better way to open that stadium than having someone like Kevin De Bruyne as your marquee signing, your marquee player? Yeah,
I remember hearing earlier in the season that City Football Group liked the idea of Pep and De Bruyne going over to New York and staying within the City Football Group. The City football. That's what surprises me. It does surprise me massively.
Alan wants him to go to Melbourne City because then at least we'll start getting a bit more crowd there.
I'll tell you. What.
If Melbourne City got KDB, Alan, you'd get a season ticket, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely, definitely. But it's not going to happen. You won't pay him. But regarding Pep, I can see Pep in the future being a director at the City Football Group. I really can.
Director, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I heard a lot earlier in the season. And when I say earlier, I mean before Pep signed his contract, was that the idea was that maybe City. Sorry, just quickly, Steve. Same to you and all at West Ham. Steve, if I could ask one last thing, believe you've still got to play Nottingham Forest. If you could do us a favour, as we always do, European champions together, smash them for us, please. and appreciate your
Oh,
support.
and one more trophies in the last 5 years. Oh,
Yeah,
one as many trophies as Arsenal in the last 5 years.
But you know,
There we go.
Talking about Pep and being a director at City, I can definitely see it now because he'll be able to go back to Spain when he feels like it and concentrate on his marriage, and run part of City from home. He doesn't need to be there.
Can float around the groups.
His daughters live in New York as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think as well, I know we've got Viana coming in, but with Tiki leaving, it could be a long-term, all right, you want to move out of management for a bit. You know what? Go into kind of being a bit more of not a sporting director of a club as such, but overall of part of the group to help lead the direction of all the clubs and the impact Pep could have on all of the clubs. But do you know what? I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule that out. I'd have no doubt. I wouldn't rule it out one day. But yeah, right. Trying to think of anything else we need. By the way, when is Southampton? Is it Saturday or Friday?
It's 3 o'clock. It's a 3 o'clock Saturday.
That's it. Sorry, I was just thinking in my head. I swear we've got no more home games on a Saturday, and it's away. That's why. Yeah. So right, not much else to talk on. We do have a show at my last show before I go away. Have a show at 5 p.m. today with the Sheikh. Celebrate his wetting the baby's head. So please come back at 5 p.m. tonight. Appreciate all of you being here. And I'm just going to give you a little... Actually, you two. Sorry, how rude of me. Mancunian Way Aussies.
Yep.
Including Alan.
Our weekly Thursday night chat, Martin and all the lads, including myself, will be back, I believe, what was it, 9:15 UK time? So, yeah, we'll be back in about, 8 hours, I think, something like that. I don't know.
Lovely. That's on Mancunian Way?
Well, that's on Mancunian Way. Yep, that's so good. Martin's doing the trek down to Southampton away, so it'll probably be a few days before we do post-match for Southampton. I'll be back next Wednesday daytime for Aussies Down Under, Blues Down Under. So look out for that. On the Mancunian Way. Keep an eye out for us, and we look forward to seeing everybody in a few hours.
Okay, and I'm going to end with a couple of videos. The first one is what a real fucking man cave looks like. Big Steve's man cave. Check this out.
Nice.
Arsenal, you're getting all these pictures, all these memories. And by the way, all of these memories, they led to trophies. They weren't just great stories.
Brilliant. Can I show you my office after?
You can. If you think you can compete with this, you can.
No, I can't. Dave can. Dave definitely can, but I can't. Look at that. It's tremendous. Oh, yes. Oh, he's got Callie's the badge on the carpet.
Yeah.
Get in.
Bloody brilliant.
Now, that is what a real man cave of memories looks like. And the TV's been upgraded since then as well, by the way, to a 60-inch. Go on, Alan. Show us your office really quickly. What you got? Fuck me, you've got a printer.
This is my office.
A printer and a whiteboard.
So you've got that, which is Vincent Company. Signed it.
Nice.
Yeah. You've got Roberto Mancini when we scored the goal in 93-20.
Lovely.
Fully signed. So a second, let's get this up out of the way. Then you've got Roberto again, which I love Roberto. David Silva signed.
Apparently we paid him secretly.
Yeah. And that's Pep and Joe Mercer, that one there.
Is that the paperwork we signed the extra money to Mancini?
Yeah.
Once 115's cleared, he's going to frame that.
Sorry, did I just see a lightsaber?
Then you've got the golden goal for the Champions League there, and me and my father with the trophies.
Quality.
Yeah,
quality.
Yeah, I've just got the one. So that's This
That's
shirt
it.
here, the "This Means For" one. That's
Yeah, yeah.
I've got that one signed. Oh, that's what an angle.
Who's that signed
Yeah.
by?
Pep. I got this signed by
Oh,
Pep
yeah,
at the
quality.
preseason in New York. So he he signed the front of it, and I said, "Oh shit, you should have signed the back." And he goes, "Why?" And he looked at it, and then all of a sudden, a few of the city photographers came over and started getting photos of just like me with my back turned and Pep like doing like thumbs up and all this shit. And like,
Quality.
I never bothered to find out who the bloody photographers were because
You should have found them. You probably
I
find
know.
them
I need to
online.
find out. Yeah. The other one, I've been holding on to this one for years for obvious reasons, but this is one of my favorites. It doesn't fit me anymore, but obviously,
Marvin
Quality.
Foe. Yeah.
Quality.
Yeah.
I tell you what, yeah, that would be quality. A signed picture of Khaldoon. I'm not going to lie. That might be one that I go after. A signed picture of Khaldoon. If we beat the Chargers, then fuck me, we all need to get one.
Yeah.
yes.
But right,
No, you know, be perfect. You know, be a perfect signature. A signed photo of Khaldoon and Panic.
yes, yeah,
That would be excellent. Well,
Oh, be unbelievable.
If we win the Champions, he should come out and do a lap of honour. The pair of them in a car.
No, the new North Stand, we're calling it the Panic End. Simple
Yeah,
as
but-
that. We're calling it the
and-
Panic
why
End.
not?
Any day of the week, yeah.
I tell you what, would we do a trophy parade for an FA Cup and a Club World Cup? Maybe not.
With
However,
Lord Panic at the front.
if we beat the Chargers, would we do a trophy parade beating the Chargers? Yeah, fucking an FA Cup and a Club World Cup. Who?
Do you know what I want to say? I want
No.
to see Lord Panic at the front of that bus doing like a Stone Cold Steve Austin with
Yeah,
the beers. And then,
he'd be a hero.
They said we'd never sing it. They said we'd never sing that. What's this? City with the big ears.
It's a beautiful summer's day. The breeze is